welcome everybody to this presentation. We are going to be speaking on hen welfare. So we are going to be speaking on hen welfare, and what we want to discuss today, it's something of very great magnitude that we need to take special attention on. It has been a thing of debate over the years globally, and a lot of people ask a lot of questions, and they want to know a lot of answers. So I hope with this, my presentation, I will be able to help us understand the dynamics of cage-free practices. Then at the same time, I'm going to narrow down to Nigeria, because whatever we want to do now, we should be able to, think as a Nigerian, think like a Black man, and not import the same position from the Europeans down here. So I'll be able to, at the end of this presentation, do that. So I want you to follow me closely on these things. So let's look at the genesis of hen welfare. What is the genesis, and what caused where this problem started from? It originated in the European world, and globally for the past 2 decades, it has been a thing of concern to a lot of people. And since it originated in Europe, it has started gaining momentum worldwide. From Europe, it moved to US, and US has projected that by 2026, they are going to have about 75% cage-free birds. The same thing in Europe also. They are looking at 2025, that the birds, they are going to be 100% on non-cage rearing. So that's the genesis. And we need to take note of something. We are talking about hen here. Don't forget hen. It's a female bird. And then welfare. We'll talk about welfare also. So now let's talk about the factors that are driving the global non-cage poultry production. The first one is animal sentience. What do we mean by animal sentience? We are saying that our birds, they are sentiental animals. Sentiental in the sense that they can feel pain. They have what we call circadian rhythm, as human beings have circadian rhythm. As everybody know that circadian rhythm is the normal biological time point for every biological animals. So they can feel pain. They can belong to a class in the society also. So animal sentience, when people start talking about animal sentience, that's why they are saying that, okay, if animals can feel pain, if we should not just treat them anyhow, we should at least put some level of modesty into handling these animals. Then market-driven factors. There are a lot of market-driven factors. Consumers-led revolution. Now, consumers are demanding for birds that have good welfare. They are demanding for products, food products that are raised from a very good welfare point of view. And because of that, the market-driven factors, when the industries that are handling this market noticed this demand from consumers, all of them started hyping the whole thing. Now, moves by young brand, like including KFC, Pizza Hut, Taco Bell, all of them, they are going to be 100% cage-free by 2030. Most of the things, and they are working towards it. They are working out towards it. If you look, KFC is almost global. I don't know, but I know there are a lot of KFC in Nigeria, and there are a lot of KFC in Africa. There are a lot of KFC in almost every region of the world. What it just takes them is for all of them to just switch to a single SOP. If they all switch to a single SOP, we should know that we should know that there will be a lot of issues on animal welfare. So most of these brands are planned to switch by 2030 to 100% cage-free production. Now, cage-free is expected to expand and take full control over the market of most developed countries within the next 5 to 10 years.
Doctor, I apologize for interrupting you. Can you be a little louder? We have some comments in the chat box that some people are finding it difficult to hear.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Can you hear me now?
Thank you, sir. That's perfect.
Okay. Thank you. So cage-free is expected to expand and take full control over the market of most developed countries within the next 5 to 10 years. So that means what we are looking at now is in the next 5 to 10 years, we are looking at a whole lot of revolution in food animal production. Now, we said this is a consumer-led revolution. Supermarket and fast food chains, they are almost sensitive to consumer wish. They identify the shift and acted accordingly. Now, we have marketing departments in every food industry. People are now looking for birds that are raised with good welfare, chickens that are raised from facilities that have good welfare. And once they notice that, they communicate that, it develops a chain reaction. Now, apart from this, the NGOs, they have a significant impact in changing the way our food system operates. They're extremely well-funded. Sometimes they create misleading and emotive content to grab attention and donations from the public. Now, with that creates a lot of awareness in the European countries. A lot of people are now saying, ban battery cages. We don't want battery cages. What we want is non-cage beds or non-cage products. Now, another issue is food quality and safety. Welfare is taken as an integral part of food quality and safety, and this is reflected in international standard organizations, prerequisite program. You see it there, good hygiene practices. You see there, good veterinary practices. You will see there, all of them have welfare as an integral part of their food quality and safety program. Now, what this means is that if you are looking at bilateral trade or multi-country trade, then you must be able to produce birds that have been raised in a good welfare conditions. So animal welfare that is getting more attention through that. Now, public concern. Cost of producing cage-free eggs declined and almost equal to cage eggs. When they started non-cage farming, the cost was very high. But as we move down the years, you can find out that the cost of producing eggs from non-cage equipment is almost equals to that in cage eggs in the European country. So most people will now look like, okay, what do we do? Let's go for non-cage eggs. Now, finally, the OIE One Health linkage. Now, we are all now saying that reduction in animal disease have direct link to reduction in human diseases. And that's what we mean by One Health, the environmental health, the animal health, the human health, all of them together have a common point. Reduction in one helps in reduction in the other. We controlling the environment, we control animal disease, we control human diseases also. Now, effect of local trade. Wealthy customers also prefer animals that are not raised in cages. So that also creates a demand. There are a lot of, I know that sometimes in Nigeria, if you say this is an organic egg, some people will go for it because they believe that, okay, it is raised in an humane way. Then animal welfare have also been found to affect international trade. So most countries importing poultry products as Hen Welfare as part of their requirement. Audit of the birds of such facility and birds is done by third-party audit organization. So animal welfare is therefore important to everyone on the supply chain, from the producers to the retailers, then the consumers. Now, finally, at this point, I will tell you that the full implications of the cage-free production are not clear yet, but the impact is already evident almost everywhere, forcing consumers, producers, suppliers, retailers, and regulators to adjust to a changing reality. So everybody is coming with that now, that they are changing to, everybody is coming with that now that they are changing to non-cage free production. So now let's keep moving. So this is the genesis of non-cage production, and it has, for like 2 decades now, it has been gaining momentum seriously all over the world. Now let's talk about animal welfare. What do we mean by animal welfare? Now this is a global view of what we mean by animal welfare. Stress-free handling, sleeping high on perch, interaction with other chickens, dust bathing, then laying eggs in safety and with other hens. Then birds wants to explore and peck, comfortable resting areas, good feeding and watering. See, this is what makes a complete animal welfare. But to be more precise, let's look at OIE and WSPA definition. WSPA is World Safety for Poultry Association. Now, OIE definition is how is animal coping with the condition in which it lives. This condition includes freedom from hunger and thirst. That's the number one thing. You must be free from hunger and thirst. Then number 2, freedom from discomfort. The shelter must be a comfortable resting place for the animals, for the birds. Then freedom from pain and injury. We must have good health management. Freedom to express normal behavior. Then freedom from fear and distress. Then avoiding mental and emotional psychological stress. So according to OIE, this is the definition for when we are saying that we are having a very good animal welfare. I will state again: freedom from hunger and thirst, food and water, freedom from discomfort, that's shelter, housing, environment, freedom from pain and injury, that's management, handling, freedom to express normal behavior. Like we said the other time, the normal behavior of birds, they like dust bathing, they like to play around, express themselves, and want those birds to express themselves. Then freedom from fear and distress. Now, farm animals provide humans with food such as meat, milk, and eggs. So human beings have the obligation to ensure that animals have a good quality of life. Paying attention to the welfare of farm animals can improve productivity, quality, food safety, and economic returns, therefore contributing to food security and economic prosperity. So animal welfare is limited in developing countries like Nigeria. We all know that because presently there is no policy in place, there is no regulations. Yes, there are policies. Don't let me say there is no policies. Yes, there are policies, but the available policies are too broad to be specific. Now we have the Animal Right, the Vet Surgeons Act, all those things. We need specific policies that will be tailored to each animal, that will be tailored to each classes of production, to each rearing system. With that, then we can be sure that, okay, Nigeria, we are on the path to developing our animal welfare system. Also, we should know that Nigeria is a member country for OIE. So there's nothing that stops us from flowing along with plans of OIE. Now, let's look at the birds' behavior. The normal behavior of domestic animals. It comprises of their ancestral behavioral patterns exhibited when hens are provided with adequate space and access to diverse resources. Please, I want us to note adequate space and access to diverse resources. On economics, on large-scale production of poultry, space is one of the determining factors. We'll see later on, because that is why people are embracing cage rearing. Cage rearing helps in managing space. So a lot of people are embracing that. So the extent to which these behavioral patterns are expressed by the adult ants depends on the following: the housing, the genetic, previous experience in the rearing environment, environmental conditions during embryonic development. Now there's this, like housing now, we all know that the structure of your house actually determine how successful your poultry business will be. In fact, when you are planning poultry business, in the feasibility studies, one of the primary things you consider is the housing. Then followed by the genetics. You must source your birds from very good source. Then previous experience in the rearing environment. Birds are able to learn over time, and they are able to pass the learning down over time. So the previous learning in the rearing environment matters a lot. Then environmental conditions during embryonic development. These are new issues coming out now. I know people are now talking about developmental origin of health and diseases, that birds or embryos or fetuses in uterine environment, when they are exposed to toxic materials, they tend to develop some diseases later on in life. Then these diseases manifest, and we won't know that it's because of the exposure or some of the things the birds have exposed themselves to, they've been exposed to in the uterine, in the developmental stage. So that's why DOAD, people, they call it DOAD or DOHD, developmental origins of health and diseases. A lot of people are researching in that now. Then the epigenetic effect, that's the effect the environment is having on the gene expressions in the bird. The effect may not be, the genes may not be rewritten, but the gene will behave in a certain way in a certain environment. All this, they affect birds' behavior. Now, these are behavioral expressions in different housing systems. Don't forget, we can say that we have cage system and non-cage system. We have cage system and non-cage system. Now, there are different kinds of cages, and there are different types of housing in the non-cage system. But to mention a few, in the cage system, you have the conventional cages and you have the furnished cages. I will talk about them later. Then you have the non-cage, you have barn, floor, slat. But if you look at it now, you will see that from the non-cage system, you see that you have a lot of pluses. That is, the birds are able to express themselves. They can fly around, they can run, they can walk, they can do wing flapping, they can stretch, they can preen, they can stand, they can sit, and so on and so forth. So this gives advantage in non-cage system. This gives advantage to us in non-cage system. Then now let's look at limitations to animal welfare in Nigeria. Now there are a lot of limitations to animal welfare in Nigeria. We have weak animal welfare framework and policies in Nigeria. Like I said earlier before, Nigeria is a member of an OIE community, so we should be able to, work along with the framework of OIE on animal welfare. Yes, I know OIE is meeting regularly and things are being done, but at the grassroots level in Nigeria, we are not feeling it that much. Yes, there are laws, like I said before, but those laws are too broad to be specific. We need to have specific laws. Okay, if I'm handling broilers, I can say, okay, from day 1 to 35 days, okay, this is what we expected. And from this, what we expected, okay, this is how you transport the bird, this and that. Then I feel government is not seeing big deal in animal welfare also, despite being an OIE country member. Now, let me come back to Nigeria. System of rearing chicken in Nigeria, we all know we have extensive, semi-intensive, and intensive. At this point, I must say that whichever system we want to use, it must satisfy the 5 OIE conditions for good animal welfare. What are the 5 conditions for good animal welfare? I said it before, I will say it again: freedom from hunger and thirst, freedom from discomfort, freedom from pain and injury, freedom to express normal behavior, then freedom from fear and distress. At this point, let me tell us that there's something we are experiencing in brown layers presently. Brown layers are tending to be more aggressive and territorial. And I want to believe that that effect is not as a result of is not as a result of the genetic material. It's the way we are handling those birds. Over time, they are now learning.
Sorry for interrupting you, sir.
Yeah.
We're having a very good discussion, and if you have questions, please take note of them. There will be a special section for question and answers. And sir, you have just 3 minutes more to round up so that our second speaker can come on.
Okay,
I know that the discussion is very interesting, so that we can move forward. Thank you.
Okay, so in extensive poultry rearing system, we have 80 million chicken in Nigeria. We all know extensive, they are always roaming around. Then semi-intensive cover is provided. The birds are able to, play outside, then come inside somewhere and sleep. The intensive system, that's where we have the deep litter, we have the battery cages. Now, under the battery cages, we have an improved form of cages, which we call the furnished cages. Furnished cages can take like 40 to 80 hens compared to battery cage that has a cell in a unit that takes like max 7 beds. But furnished cages can take 40 to 80 hens. Then natural bedding are placed in the cages. Off-nest egg are common in furnished cages also. Now, this is how a furnished cage look like. Now you can see perches. These are perches. And there is a nest box. The birds can jump inside the nest box and lay. Then the regular cages are here. We have so many forms of the regular cage, the A shape, the H type. Now, why people prefer cage system is because, number one, large number of birds per shed. They can save land, they can save capital. Cheap quality food for the generation recovering from World War II. Now, mass production is easy in cages. That's why people prefer cages. But in cages, welfare system are not encouraged. Apart from the welfare system, there's accumulation of manure. Everywhere, every laying farm you get to in Nigeria today, one of the first problems you see is manure. It's difficult to manage the waste, especially the big farms. Now, because the manure is accumulating, you have proliferation of arthropod pests. Arthropod pests, they transmit diseases into man and animal. We have a lot of them: Musca domestica, beetles, bloodsucking. So then also cages, the conventional cages lack forage material. Now, sham dust bathing, I can say fake, let me call it fake dust bathing, because the birds want to bath. You see them flapping their wings, but because there is nothing on the floor, there's no bedding material there, you just see them that they will not be able to do dust bathing. And why do birds do dust bathing? Because it allows them to clean their feathers. It helps them to shed off lipids, excess fluid from it. Now, sometimes in cages now, you see repeated pacing before oviposition. Birds are moving up and down to tell you that they are not comfortable. Now, cages do not exhibit broodiness because genetic selection is not there again. Then, because the eggs roll out in cages. Now, in deep litter, mortality is usually high. But bacterial and viral diseases are more prominent. Enteral infections, aerosol travel faster. Now, evolution of modern poultry farming, we move from battery cages, this is in Europe, then to colony system, then to automatic nest. Now, this automatic nest is now the breakthrough. We have barn system, birds are inside a barn, they are inside an enclosed building, but they will still be on the litter. This is an example of a barn. But the difference between a barn is that you can have like 3 tiers. You can have 4 tiers depending on the arrangement. So this makes us to utilize more space. Now, the hazard, there are a lot of hazards in barn, in free range system. So in rounding off, now in the European system, there is Aviary System. And in Aviary System, what they do is that manure, or they get welfare system that is compatible with the lifestyle of the birds. Manure moves out automatically, birds roll out, eggs roll out automatically, birds are not in cages, birds are free to express themselves. There is ventilation is controlled, tunnel ventilation, then fans are there, all those things equipped. And this seems to solve a lot of problem for the bird welfare. The only problem with the aviary is that the cost of installation is more. The cost of installation of aviary per bed is around 15,000, whereas the normal cage system, you just spend like 1,500 naira to install one. So the cost of installation is more, but at the long run, the rate of investment is better. The return on investment is better in aviary system. So now what we need to look at as a Nigerian community is that we may not be able to invest in aviary system now because it requires power, electricity, the cost of initial capital investment is more. But we need to look at the way of improving our normal, regular, semi-intensive system. Let's see the way to improve our barn. Let's see the way to improve our free range so that our birds can have the best of the welfare. And with that, things can get better for us. But on the large economic scale, the big companies can invest in aviary, and this will help us a lot. So from this point, I rest my case. Thank you, everybody, for listening.